Penny and Francis, it is all yours. And thank you so very much for all that you're doing to help us to improve the quality of life for children here in Lawrence County. Before you start, Judge Terry, is there anything that you would like to add before the training begins?
No, just thank you for everybody being on here, being willing to do it. And there were several that got with me, let me know that they would not be able to be on here, but we will let them know that it's recorded and we will get with them later. But thank you for all of you for taking time this morning.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Penny Willis. I am going to be one of your presenters today. I am the staff trainer and professional development developer for the Lions Quest program. I've been with Lions Quest, wow, I believe this is my 10th year. It may be my 11th year, but I believe it's my 10th year anniversary that just passed in May. And I'm excited to work for this organization. This is an incredible organization. Giving back and serving others is one of my core values. And to work for an organization that is over 300 million strong, is that right? Across the globe, doing this kind of work is something that I celebrate and I wear proudly and share with others. So I'm really glad to be with you all this morning. Before I came to Lions Quest, I had been involved in youth development probably for more than 20 years now. 7 of those years I worked in various types of prevention. I've worked within the Chicago public school system. I live right outside of Chicago, Illinois, and I worked within both the Chicago public school system and the DC, the District of Columbia public school system for the majority of the time that I worked in prevention. And then I've worked with out of school time organizations all across the US, and Francis and I, who is your other co-facilitator, are both international trainers for Lions Quest. I'm going to give Francis a chance to introduce herself. So Francis, you want to say a little bit about who you are and anything you want to share?
Sure. Lately, I have to say that the first thing on my mind is that I am a proud nonna of 7 grandchildren. And so when I think about youth, I got to think about my babies. So that's probably my biggest identity right now. Who knew grandparenting was going to be so much more fun than parenting? I have been a Lions Quest trainer since 1988. So I've been around for a little while. Again, international trainer, wrote some of the program and really enjoyed my time with Lions Quest. Penny told me to connect it to some of the other reasons and why she asked me to be part of this program. So just looking, I want a cross section of all of you so I can see who's here. Sometimes I say, you're in my way and I have to move you. I have been I served on the Oregon State Bar as a public member. So we were not attorneys, we were on the bar, and that was mostly just to be able to talk about what we as non-attorneys saw in the world and bring it back to attorneys. So that was probably one of my first chances to talk about access to justice and youth. The other thing I wanted to talk about, well, one other small one, not so small, we just finished a big project here that I worked with on totally rechanging the police system. You can look it up, it's LPSCC. And we had previously incarcerated women, we had attorneys, we had judges, we had police officers, we had homeless servers. So not unlike this team, just everyone coming together with some action plans that we can do for the long haul. So those are 2 projects I'm working on right now. The one I want to bring it back to Lions Quest. I did present this training in an intense 2.5 days at a high school out east, and I am losing the name. I can see it on the t-shirt that I wear when I work out. It was an all-boys correctional institute that they implemented this program. The other one, and this is many, many years ago, I did this training for all the schools near my home in Salem, Oregon. And years later, I went to the correctional, it's called McLaren Juvenile Corrections, And I was asked to do EDI, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, which is one of my big studies and deliveries. And they were giving me a tour of the whole place. And then they said, we saved the best cottage for last. And I walked in and it was all the people who had gone through the Lions Quest training. This was the drug and alcohol unit of that home. And they had taken the things that we had done and implemented them through all of the corrections. And I think that's my biggest success story of being able to see it years later and it was still up and running and they were the model for the entire organization. So thank you. You were bringing me home to so many things.
I'd like now to give PID Thompson a chance to talk a little bit about what the Lions Quest Specialty Club is and what it does. So I'm just gonna turn the mic over to PID Thompson to share how this came about and what the Lions Quest Specialty Club is.
Thank you, Penny. As you know, one of our slogans in the Lions Club is that where there's a need, there's a lion. And as we were talking about different community needs last October, the concept was talked about that we need to begin to advocate for at-risk children, and we need to begin to promote drug-free communities. Lions Quest has been used in a traditional classroom for nearly 30 years now. And as such, we've become squeezed out by some larger companies, but we were looking for a space where we did not have a voice advocating for a need. And in the space of at-risk children, those in alternative schools, those in the juvenile justice system, those in the foster care system, do not have access to the tools that they need to overcome their ACEs, their adverse childhood experiences. And so we, within Lions Club's international headquarters, married the specialty club idea, the Lions Quest, and membership. And we brought them together, and we have begun to use Lions Quest to make a difference in the lives of at-risk children. And here in Lawrence County, we have a club that is 80 years old, and the club has embraced Lions Quest. And then we met with Judge Terry, who is very proactive in, as she would say, advocating for her children, advocating for those accused of delinquent acts that appear before her bench. We have worked with the Children's Policy Council, and now we've identified 17, 18 caring individuals who are ready and willing and able to assist us in delivering this curriculum to those accused of delinquent acts in an effort to get them to not go back to the court system, to gain the skills that they need to move forward and to begin to change their life and break a cycle of poverty and poor decisions that may have gone back several generations in their family. And so today, this group of people are listening for the purpose of becoming facilitators and working together and collaborating to deliver the Lions Quest to some 200 students a year in Lawrence County. And we're so honored that you and Francis and Kim would take your time to assist us today in doing the best job possible. Thank you so very much.
Welcome, and thank you. Thank you so much for being a champion for Lions Quest. We're going to hold on to you. We're not going to let you go. So don't think you're ever going to be able to get away from Lions Quest now. I do want to also introduce Kim Haynes. Kim Haynes is another specialist with Lions Quest. And Kim Haynes, you can say a little bit about yourself, but Kim will be managing the chat. So if you have any questions that you would like for us to answer, Kim will be managing the chat. She will also be dropping in resources as we go throughout the training. She's already dropped in the webinar guidebook, which is your sort of your handout packet for this webinar, if you want to download that and save it on your computer. But Kim, did you want to say anything about yourself or any logistical things before we move on?
I just want to welcome everybody to the training. I think I've met quite a few of you. I am Kimberly Haynes. I'm a Lion with the Knights of Prevention and Education Cyber Lions. And I'm also the Program Development and Evaluation Specialist with Lions Quest. And I am very appreciative of you all and the attention and dedication that you're showing, not only to the program, but to the children in your community. And thank you again for inviting me to participate in the Children's Policy Council meeting. And thank you to PID Thompson and Judge Terry for being such vocal and compassionate advocates that have really helped us as a department and an organization to really bring attention to the needs of some of our most vulnerable children. And thank you to Francis and Penny for stepping up and really helping to put some bones to this initiative. As Penny mentioned, I will be sort of in the background. I'll be monitoring to look for any questions that you all have to kind of make sure that we're not missing anyone. And I do want to emphasize that we will not be dropping you off at the corner. We will be here to assist you all as this evolves and new questions come up, and we're here to help you resolve those issues in real time. So I will now turn it back over to Penny, and thank you again for giving me a couple of seconds.
Okay, great. And just for you guys who are at home, we find that Zoom operates better when you have other programs on your computer closed. So if there's anything else that you might have up and running right now, just for maximize your experience, you may want to close those programs. All right, so we're going to move on to our objectives, which if my computer will act right with me right now. There we go. Let's talk about what we're going to do right now. We're going to begin with some welcoming rituals. One of the things that Francis and I will do all throughout our time together is model what you will be doing with young people directly when you are either facilitating a Lions Quest lesson or taking them through their actual service learning experience. So one of the things that we're going to talk about later in our session is establishing and maintaining a relationship-centered learning community. And one of the primary aspects of doing that is welcoming rituals, making sure that right out of the gate, we're making connections and building a sense of connection with our audience, with our young people. And we're going to start with that today, this morning. Then we'll talk about social and emotional learning and service learning. Just to review, for those of you who had a chance to go through the course, the pre-webinar course that we sent out, some of this will be familiar to you, some of it will be new to you, but we're going to just cover it again so to make sure that we're all on the same page as we move forward. Then Francis will cover the 5 stages of service learning. We'll take a short break and we'll come back and really dig into what it means to create the conditions and the environment for building SEL skills and helping young people get ready to serve around issues that matter to them. We'll look at the Lions Quest program. We'll tell you how to access it. We'll take you to the service learning manual that you'll be using. And then we will do an optimistic closure, which is just another part of really creating that relationship-centered learning community and sustaining it over the 16 weeks that you'll be working with your young people. I'm going to turn it over to Francis now, who's going to take us through those welcoming rituals.
It's so much better when you can all hear me and I'm not muted, so I'm hoping everyone can hear now. So I know that it is a lot safer and easier and all of that when you have your camera off. What we encourage is, particularly for this part, a lot of it is listening, and I understand why you would want to turn it off. But for the purposes of community building, it would be lovely to see everybody. So I'm going to encourage you, ask you, beg you, please turn your cameras on just for this little portion, and then you can go back to anonymity. I'll give you a second to do that, hopefully. I see some people going, okay, I can do this. Yay, look at all these wonderful people. Oh, waiting on a couple more to find that button that says, here's my picture. And again, part of the reason we do this, and I'm trying trying to honor what Penny is saying about modeling it, is when we see our students' faces, it lets us know, are we going too fast? Have we, are they bored? Are they hungry? Is there something going on? So being able to see how our youth react is really helpful. And again, having Zoom taught for a couple of years, it's a lot harder here than being able to walk around quietly and kind of sneak up behind them and see what's going on. So again, thank you for participating and turning on those cameras. We really appreciate that. So our first activity, we can go back to those slides too. I can see you and see the slides at the same time. We call it Lions Quest Aerobics. And that is basically just a low risk idea of who's in the room. So I don't know if you all know those little hands down there that say you can raise your hand. So you can raise your computer hand, or you can raise your hand. But we're just going to do a quick who's in the room. I think I listened well enough to find out what representatives we have here. And the rest of us can either quietly applaud or we can hit that celebration button. But let's find out a little bit about who's in the room. So I'm going to start out with, I understand there's some people here who are on the school board. Can you raise your hand and the rest of us can celebrate you? So let's see who's on the school board. I see some hands going up. Thank you for that service. I just worked with the school board here. Tough job, yay, thank you. I see hand raised in the chat, wonderful. Next, let's see, who are the youth ministers? Youth ministers, raise your hand. We want to see who you are, giving a shout out to all the work you do through your ministry.
Francis, Austin is joining us by phone. And so that little phone symbol right there is Austin.
Oh, great. Thank you, Austin. And Austin, just either unmute and say, raise a hand, or...
yeah, my hand is raised. Good to be here this morning.
Thank you. Welcome. How about probation officers? I understand we have some probation officers. Raise your hands. That's hard work. Now, I don't see... Oh. I think I see one.
Natasha and Delandrian. I'm gonna have to get that name.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Penny, if you can call out how many years I call, that might be a lot easier and we can model working together.
Yeah.
How about judges? Did I see some judges? Let's celebrate our judges.
Yes,
Hey.
Angela.
Thank you, Judge. And attorneys, all those hard years in law school, starting with that LSAT.
Ryan Thompson.
Thank you. And last but not least, raise your hand if you're a lion.
Okay.
Oh, we see a few of them too. Did I forget any major group? Or any minor group? And Chris, you're raising your hand as a lion, I believe, correct?
That's correct.
Thanks.
Hey, Miss Francis, I'm with the Child Advocacy Center, but I'll be a therapist with Health Connect working with drug court kids. So
thank you. So on that mental health side that we need so much. Thank you. Welcome, Amanda. I'll remember that name. It's my, don't say my favorite niece, but my favorite niece. Well, welcome everybody. And you start to see that it really does take a village to raise a child, and particularly a child with the kinds of needs that we work with. And we're all here ready to do that. Let's dig a little bit more deeply and find out a little bit about each other. And I'm going to give you all, we say time is money. I'm giving you all $3. That means it's 10 cents a second. So we're talking about basically 30 seconds. And how we'll do this is, I've got it in the chat. I hope I have it in the chat. Here, I had it all written up. In 30 seconds, would you please tell us your name and the role that brought you here? We did just kind of do a bit of an overview with that, but the role that brought you here. So that may be your day job. It may also be just your volunteer job. And then a superhero in service, someone you think of when you think of a superhero. Now, again, you only have $3 worth of time. So that's 10 cents a minute, 10 cents a second. That's basically 30 seconds. Again, we're going to see how well we can spend our money. Let's see if we have a little bit left over when we're done. And the way we do this is I'll start, I'll tell my name, the role that brought me here, and a superhero that I'm thinking of. And then I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to lob it over and I'm going to call someone's name. You have to catch the ball and then you've got your $3 worth to spend. So we're going to go pretty fast on this, but we're going to hear about everyone in the room. Let me just check for understanding. Is there anyone who's saying, I don't know what Francis just said. I'm totally confused. Or I have one question that would help me. Let's check for understanding. Any hands up? Any questions? What does that lady want us to do? Okay, I think we got it. Okay, I will model it and then I will throw the ball to somebody. So my name is Frances Portillo. And the role that brought me here, mostly Lions Quest. That's how I got connected to all of you. But again, I think I've already said this, it's all for the children. There's something, I've been around a long time and it's time for me to leave that legacy to our children. And the superhero, I just got back from Washington, DC. I ate at 2 of his restaurants. My big hero right now is Chef Andres. He owns millions of restaurants. He does great things. And then he packs it all up and goes to the Ukraine or Puerto Rico or wherever they need him. And he just gives food away. That's a superhero to me. So I am going to toss this to Judge Angela Terry. Here, get the ball.
My name is Angela Terry. The role that has brought me to this program is I am the juvenile judge for Lawrence County. We are a relatively small rural county and I am the only juvenile judge. So I deal with the delinquency and the dependency. I deal with both, sides and they're intermingling. I was thinking more like the superhero, some unsung heroes are the lawyers and the guardians ad litem who work in the juvenile court. They see that, they don't make a lot of money, but they do a lot of good. But as far as a popular person, I would say Dolly Parton, because I was reading the other day about how she is just taking her money and putting it into schools and into the reading initiatives. And she even started a program where there was a low high school graduation rate in a county. And she told people in kindergarten, they get a buddy. And if those 2 buddies graduate, her foundation personally pays each one of them $500. So she is a person who has taken her popularity and her money and has done just as much for children as anybody I could think of. So I guess she would be my person on the spot.
And throw that ball, Judge.
We'll throw the ball to Mr. Shannon Terry. I want to hear why he says he's here today.
I knew that was coming. All right, Shannon Terry. I'm here as a member of the school board. I've been on the school board for 6 years, finishing my first term, and seeing the impact on our youth. Education is not the education that we remember. It's seeing how society and social factors and how that impacts the youth, and anything I can do to try to benefit them and help the youth and the future of our county. The superhero in service, I'll do like Angela. She brought up the guardians ad litem, the attorneys, those involved in the system. Maybe a little bit because she's my spouse and I see how it affects her. But I'm going to say her as a judge, as a juvenile judge, and just seeing how being that juvenile judge, how that weighs on her and how she wants to make an impact. And through things like this, she can try to accomplish that, and the great people that are willing to volunteer. Twofold. If I had to select one that was probably more of a famous person or one everybody would know, I would say Tim Tebow. Just knowing what he does for especially special needs youth across our country, and his ministry and how he reaches out to all youth. So, and I guess I will toss it to Amanda. She looks like she's ready to go.
Okay, and Amanda, before you start, it doesn't have to be a famous person. It can be somebody that you know. I had to pick one. I got plenty of those too. So again, $3, go for it.
My name is Amanda. I came to this because Judge Terry asked me to while I was at the Children's Policy Council meeting, and I'm grateful. And a superhero in service. For me, I actually told him this when I saw him last week or a week ago. I think Jerry Armour, our coordinator for Children's Policy Council, is an amazing human. He's always on point, and he really advocates for the kids in Lawrence County. So that's who I would choose. I'm going to throw the ball to Jerome Thompson.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm here because I'm a Lion for 33 years, and Lions Quest is a passion, and I'm a promoter of Lions Quest. I also am a promoter of any program that will benefit the quality of life for citizens of Lawrence County. And because of that, have partnered with the Children's Policy Council and the Juvenile Court to bring this at no cost to the county. A superhero is a lion. As former President Carter, he served as a lion in Georgia. He then was elected as a governor of Georgia. He served as president, but he has done such amazing work since he's left the office of president. And so I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of his relationship with Lions. And having said that, I would toss it to DeLandry and Woods.
Hey, good morning. I apologize. I'm on the road traveling, but I am a Lion. I have been asked, been working with my mentor, as I call him, Jerome, and then I was asked by Judge Terry to join the panel. But if I had to think of a superhero locally, it would be one of the youth pastors here in our community. His name is Scotty Bowden. He's a huge advocate for our young people. He does a lot of investing into them in their lives, and not only just their spirituality, but their carnal life as well. So I have a lot of respect for him in that manner. And I believe that our young people are the future. I'm young myself, but I do know that one of these days we're gonna, hang up our hats, and we're gonna have to just toss the baton over to them. So I want to do everything that I can to be to create a positive impact on their lives. And I'm going to toss the baton over to Natasha.
My name is Natasha Davis. I'm the Chief Juvenile Probation Officer in Lawrence County. And I have over the last 2 years, I have 2 almost 4th graders. And I would say my superheroes would be teachers, because there is no way that I could do what they do. And I was forced to do it for about 3 months with my children at home. And none of us loved it. So I would say teachers for sure.
And who are you going to
throw them?
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm going to toss the ball to Callie.
And Kelly and Chris are on the road. Oh, she can talk. Good.
I can. I halfway expected it to be me or Chris. Thank you, Tasha. I am, hold on just a second. I need to turn Chris's volume off. Okay. Anyway, I am the prosecutor in the DA's office for juvenile court. And I'm also a Lion, but I figure my role as the prosecutor in juvenile court is what got me here. I'm also married to Chris, who is going to be one of the presenters. So I'm trying to make sure he participates and remembers to do everything. But I thought of my superhero as Rita Dunlap. She's one of our foster moms and is always ready, willing, and able to take children of any age at any time, no matter what condition. And I I commend her for it. She truly has a heart for them, and then kind of continues to watch after them until they, I don't know, forever, because I just know she contacted us not too long ago. Chris created the Drug Endangered Children program, which still occasionally will raise funds, and contacted us about helping send one of the drug endangered children to the World Series of softball. So I commend her for what she does and the heart she has for the foster kids. And of course, as expected, I will toss the ball to Chris.
Can you hear me? Okay, my name is Chris Walter. The role that brought me to this program, I had 20 years of prior law enforcement. I'm currently the EMA director for Lawrence County. I've always had a passion for children. Judge Terry asked me to come over and help with this program, and I'm thankful for it. My superhero would be my wife, Callie, and the job that she is going to do in her upcoming role as circuit judge. And I can't see the screen good, so I have Callie tell you who she's going to toss the ball to for me.
How about I toss the ball to the guy on the telephone? Austin.
Thanks, Callie. My name is Austin Dutton. I'm sorry not being able to join via Zoom due to traveling as well. I'm highly honored to be asked for Lions Quest, and I greatly appreciate and respect my friendship with Attorney Thompson. The role that probably brought me here is I'm a nurse who have worked in heart surgery for the last 6 years, who's been a patient advocate for patients many times, and I have a heart for serving other people. But I'm also the student and college pastor at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, where I like to mold students in our community, not only physically and mentally and emotionally, but also spiritually. My superhero would be none other than my dad, my father, Judge Greg Dutton, who served this community his whole life, who now serves as the probate judge of this community after 25 years of working for this city. I've seen his sacrifice of leaving all hours of the night, vacations, church, and other events to serve this local community. He will always be my hero. And also my pastor, Randy Copeland, who's my spiritual mentor and father, who I wouldn't be here today without him, who lives after our church motto, love God and love people. Thank you. And I'll let Jerome pass the ball with me not being able to see the other names.
Why don't we call on Serena Thompson, who has observed the process since joining us. And I'm sorry, Serena, I don't recall which agency you're with.
I am with Alabama Medicaid. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good deal. I can see you, but you can't see me. The state actually doesn't provide us with a camera, so they would not be my superhero. I'm just kidding. One of the things, I am with Alabama Medicaid, but I have a background in criminal justice. My career actually started with criminal justice in the juvenile portion of that. And I was a counselor for a while in Jasper, Alabama. And I also served as a detention officer in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. So I started out in the juvenile aspect of that. I want to echo what someone said about teachers. I was listening to the news about the mass shooting and how those teachers actually put their lives on the line and actually to save their students. And I know as a parent, any parent would do that for their children, but for a teacher to go and do that for someone that they only know in the classroom setting, I think is remarkable. And someone else said this as well. I too had to do the role of a teacher for a couple of months when we were not in school, and that is not an easy job. So my hat goes off to teachers that service our children every day. And I will pass the baton to the people that I can see. So forgive me if they actually have already been called on. People I see is Penny.
Right. Thank you. I can take it. I am Penny Willis. I am on the Lions Quest team. I am the training, the staff trainer and training professional development developer. My superhero would probably be someone that you all don't know, but she's also a Lions Quest trainer, and her name is Bryda Jerome. And I say that because Bryda is a school social worker, and she's a school she works with students who have different types of learning abilities, and some of the stuff that she sees every day and goes through every day, and her commitment and her dedication to kids, and she has 2 young kids of her own that I believe are under the age of 8, is just commendable. And so Bryda is my superhero. But if I had to think of someone who was famous, I would probably say that there are a lot of athletes out here who have foundations that are devoted to bettering the lives of kids. And so there are a lot of, all of us can name a basketball player or a football player or a hockey player or some sports figure who has a foundation that is dedicated to kids. And I don't think that gets shared and lifted up about them enough. Who hasn't gone yet? Francis, are you keeping track?
I think Renee is our last one, and I feel so sorry, like the kid that's picked.
Kim too, right?
Oh, and Kim.
Right. So I'll do Renee. I'm going to throw the ball to Renee.
I'm going to accept it from you. Thank you. I'm Renee Bright. I just got done being the Gunnersville Lions Club president. And in our club, we have been trying to engage a lot of the different youth. And so we've started 2 Cub Scout groups and 2 Boy Scout troops in the last couple of years, in trying to build up the youth and give them a foundation for themselves and also citizenship, so they can be part of the community and of service, really. And so I would say my hero is my husband, Brian, who, when I first met him, sent me to a team building class so that I could learn how to work with other people, because I'm in the military. I used to just tell people what to do and they would just do it. But in team building, yeah, don't do that. And he made sure I knew that. So I would say he's my hero, and he's actually here with me taking this class. It just happens to show my name. So if you don't mind, I'm going to turn it over to him real quick.
Hey, Brian Bright, Humble Tail Twister. Worked in youth wilderness programs with reality therapy and scouting most of my life, and program where it focuses on character, leadership, and citizenship. And I think my hero for most of my life was Baden Powell, who started scouting from nothing and built it into something amazing. And I'm kind of excited about finding another resource to help youth, and see if I can use this tool to help some young men and young ladies become stronger adults. And who else do I need to throw it to? Kim, you're next.
Okay, well, hello again, everybody. I am Kimberly, and I am the program developer for Lions Quest. But, you know, the reason that I'm here is because I have been involved in this work for 20 years. And I started as a parent advocate. I do share with people that I do have an adult son that has mental illness, and we've had a lot of experiences in working within the various systems, in the educational system and the mental health system. And you know, when I got started 20 years ago, I was a parent advocate. I did not intend to do this for a lifetime. I just wanted to help my baby. And I knew that he would have to grow up. And so I had to help him, but I also wanted to make sure that with the world that I was turning him out into had a little bit of empathy and had resources and some understanding and appreciation for the things that he was going through. Ironically, my hero is a lady by the name of Tula Goodwin, who nurtured what I wanted to do. And when I say nurtured, she said, okay, Kim, you do this and then come back and see me and I'll take you through the next step. She held my hand through it. Well, ironically, she was also a lion. And so I definitely would give her superhero status because it's almost like kindergarten. The things that she taught me about how communities work and how people work together and how to strengthen that and how to, be involved and be engaged and how important that was on a day-to-day basis is something that I feel that I've carried with me throughout my career. So I'm very grateful to be here today and to be joined by other people who are also advocates and who are also joining in to make this world a better and a safer place for children who kind of need that extra support. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Is that so? My cursory glance says that everyone has had an opportunity to introduce themselves a little bit more deeply. I just want to take a little bit of a pause to say that I'm humbled and honored to be part of this amazing group, and also just in the heroes and sheroes that you honored. What a great place we have to start. And again, just giving kids an opportunity in those first meetings to say who they are, asking them a couple of prompting questions will tell you so much about the audience you have before you proceed. So let's get into it. We're going to go through this. I'd like to say it's fairly slide heavy. I'm going to be talking, and I have been told that I tend to talk fast. So I welcome anytime you say, whoa, hold on, let's linger there. I have some questions. I'm not quite clear about this. And so we will go through this. We want to make sure we get through our information, but we also want to make sure that it's done in an authentic way. If you have a question, please ask. If you have a comment, please, we welcome that. So my first question, and you could say this out loud or you can just put it in the chat. We are a social and emotional learning program, SEL. So when you hear that, what comes to mind? And either just put some responses in the chat, unmute, give us a couple of thoughts on that. When you think of social and emotional learning, what comes to mind? An opportunity for you to become aware of their self-worth and how they will emotionally react with others. Definitely part of it. We give them that opportunity so that they can know that they are valuable. We know so many kids get told that they're not. This is a place where they can learn, and they'll learn why and how. Other thoughts? Unmute and speak or throw it in the chat. And I have no idea is also one. Play date with other children. Again, gives us opportunities. A lot of times in this COVID-ridden place, there were a lot of kids, particularly kids who were only children, who did not have an opportunity to do that. And just while you're thinking and putting that in there, I just have this funny story. I'm taking care of my grandson, and I'm texting his mother. And so I'm doing it vocally. So I'm saying, we are having a great time, period. How long do you think Stephen can stay? Question mark. And he pulls my hand to him and he says, can I have a play date with Jason? Question mark. I don't think he knew what question mark meant. He just knew that's what he was supposed to say. So I hear play date, I think of question mark. And let's wait for one more and then we'll move on. Anyone else? Another thought? Social emotional learning.
I would say with so many of my juveniles, especially if they have come back out of a DYS facility, they learn so much, interpersonal skills, but also they just how anger management, they have these feelings, but they have no idea what to do with these feelings. And they just need to learn it's okay to feel that way, but you have to learn how to control it and a lot of them, when they come back from either boot camp or some other facility, that's one of the main things they tell me. I learned when I start feeling this way, or when I start wanting to do this, there are things that I can do to not be impulsive. So I would think that it's strengthening the youth, but we could all use it. I'll be honest with you. Adults I deal with to use it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. We've been in a place where we have had a range of emotions in these past 2 years, and there's nothing that will make my emotion go up is to be told to calm down. I don't know how when I'm there. And I love that you said anger is a viable emotion. It's real. Now, what are we going to do with it? How do we channel that someplace that will help us work through that? And a lot of kids don't know that. And as you said, and also a lot of adults don't know that. How do we model that if we don't know how to do that? Just a few more in here. Hopefully the kids will connect with adult role models they can contact when a need arises. Are we teaching things? We are always teaching things to children by what we do, by what we don't do. And we may be teaching them how to do it wrong. In our setting, it's normally learning appropriate responses to many of our situations. So many of our kids do not know how to control their feelings or reactions. And again, we saw that as the frustration arose. I had a friend who came to me and said, I was standing in line and this woman took cuts and I snapped at her and she just, I don't normally do that. So having to even understand how this was affecting her coping ability, absolutely. So just a little review of how Lions Quest programs are social emotional learning. And go to the next slide. The other day I was managing my own slides and I kept saying, next slide. Oh, that's me. So a little bit about social emotional learning. It is an integral part of education and human development. We used to think that it was the parents' responsibility, but it is all of us. We want to help our kids develop healthy identities and be able to manage and achieve personal and collective goals. First, they need to know what their goal is and then help them manage that. Feeling and showing empathy for others instead of the what's in it for me. Well, I did it because I'm going to get something out of it. How do we have empathy for others? And I heard that so much in your introductions, the empathy and the sharing of watching other people do great things. Establish and maintain supportive relationships. You all talked about that just now in the chat. How do we have relationships that help support us? Just went to a homeless training where we were actually, I was actually in a wheelchair at the moment and going in it's called Street Roots. We did the tour, and the difference between homelessness and not is relationships. All of us could lose our home tomorrow, but most of us know where we would go to be able to be supported. And make responsible and caring decisions that are responsible to us and to others. So that is a bit of an overview of social emotional learning. Next slide. Whoops. So this is the research for this. You have it in your workshop guidebook on pages 6 and 7. And a little bit about how Lions Quest programs are responding to this. Every lesson that we have is addressing one of these. You'll see in the orange, this is about the world inside the child. How do I need to be aware of who I am, what my skills are, what are some things that I may need to work on, and being able to manage those things that we just talked about. The green part is the interaction with other people. So social awareness and being able to be in a relationship and not just walking away or screaming, being able to stay with it and working through it. And then the last part, responsible decision making. This, we focus on alcohol and other drugs. We look at many different ways that we take those skills that we learn about us inside, about working socially, and then how we make those decisions. When we get to service learning, that is when we put all of this to use. We use all of the skills that we've been learning, and we do a real challenge, and we use it to we use service learning to further reinforce these things in real time. Next slide. So again, service learning experiences engage 21st century and SEL skills. 21st century skills are written down right here. I've got a black band through those. Does everyone have that? Thanks. So critical thinking, communication, citizenship, creativity, growth mindset. For those of you who don't know, growth mindset is I can do this. A mindset that says I will, I can, not you won't, you're nothing. And collaboration, working together. So these are the things that we attach to service learning, the social emotional learning skills that we are putting in that. I used to make a joke, I think it still stands, that I wasn't voting for anybody for dog catcher on up to president who hadn't gone through 13 years of Lions Quest. Then I would know they had all the skills to be good leaders. And I think when you look at this, this is leadership at its best. Next slide. So before we move on, I just want to stop, look around the room and see any questions, comments, thoughts about that brief overview of what social emotional learning is. And I have Kimberly and Penny as eyes and ears too, if they see something that I don't. Okay, moving on. So our first learning objective is to talk about service learning, how it fosters leadership and responsible citizenship, empathy, and compassion in youth. And I have to say, and anyone who's working in the program, we all learn when we're doing this. Any teachers in the room will know what I'm talking about. When I'm teaching something, I always learn something. Next slide. Will we get copies of slides after the call? That is a question from Sarita, and I believe it's a question for Penny.
Yes, we can make those available to you. Yes.
Thanks, Penny. So another chat to put into the chat, raise your hand, unmute, however you want to do it. Y'all, we use a lot of quotes in our training, in our lessons. Somehow they're brief little pieces that people will help remember things. So this says, and I'm sure most of you have heard this before, tell me and I forget. Teach me as I remember. Involve me and I will learn. So if you notice, this is not called service, it's called service learning. So just with that information, what does the term service learning mean to you right now in this moment? Again, in the chat, unmute, don't leave me hanging, please. Comments, thoughts that you have about service learning.
Me again, but one thing I can say from personal experience, my husband and I have been teaching a college and career Sunday school class now for a little over a year. And I have learned so much more in preparing for those lessons because it, you feel the responsibility, but where, if it were just for me, I might look at something and say, okay, but when I'm trying to teach, and if we're trying to teach these juveniles, I'm really going to look back and, well, is that something, is that the actual fact, or am I just thinking of that? So I have just, the service learning, that's just one thing that comes to me, that it's been a wonderful experience, and I've learned more and got more out of it, I know, than I have given to them.
Mm-hmm. It's a positive experience. It's something that we give, and yet look at how much we get back. It's like a hug. You give it, you automatically get it back. And I also saw another one in here. Oh, hands-on. Yeah, we're not just talking about it. We're out there. We're really learning it. Any others? At least one or two more. Okay, at least 7 or 8 more. Does that help? Service learning is key to being a great leader. it reminds us that people's actions and words must match. Big time. And again, I feel like we're living in a what's in it for me world. So being able to do that and having those words that we say in our behaviors match. Thank you. Penny, can you tell us a little bit about this picture? This was a project I think you were involved with.
I'll tell you guys, a partner of Lions Quest, the Milwaukee Public School District in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has been using the Lions Quest program for at least 12 years. And these young people represent 1 year service project where they went out and decorated the garbage cans in the community. And so who you see the children, you see the director of the program, you see the mayor of the city of Milwaukee at that time. And if you notice, one of the boxes is a Lions Quest, Alliance International logo on that garbage can on the end. There you go, friend.
Thanks, Penny. Next slide. So a little bit about service learning. The definition of service learning: it is an educational methodology. It connects school-based curriculum with caring and concern that young people have for their world. It provides them with opportunities to apply school-based learning and civic values in addressing real needs in the school and community, not unlike what you've already said. And it takes the learning, and through service, they again learn again. Next slide. Again, if I'm going too fast, stop me, ask me questions. Make them easy questions, please. Just kidding. I can take hard questions too. So what's the rationale behind this? Service learning benefits all youth. This teaching methodology provides developmental opportunities that promote personal, that world inside, social, and intellectual growth and development, as well as civic responsibility and career exploration. I know there was a time when people were saying, well, you're just making our kids do work. Well, that's service. This is service learning. Look at all the benefits of service learning in one fell swoop. Next slide. So before I go on, that was a little bit of a background of why service learning. Any questions, comments, clarifications? Okay, so yeah, connecting kids to the community and making them feel part of it. It is hard to feel part of the community when I'm not engaged, when I don't know my neighbors, when I don't understand the issues that are going on right here in my backyard. So absolutely. So next, this part then, thank you. We're going to look at the 5 stages of service learning and identify considerations for conducting service learning projects. So this is where we roll up our sleeves and get ready to actually implement the program. So next slide. Some things to think about when you want to do a high quality service learning service project. How long do you want it to last? How intense do you want it to be? And that might be, how long do you have your youth able to put time on it? How intense what is the level of knowledge or abilities from your youth? Those are questions to consider in duration and intensity. How will you link it to what they are learning? Can you give youth voice and choice? So it's not coming in and saying, we have a service project, here's what you're going to do. It's giving them opportunities to say, I think this is a better idea. I'm uncomfortable with this part. Being able to express their feelings, express their thoughts, and have those validated, incorporated. Collaborative, creating partnerships. Need I say more? Look at the group who's in the room. This is a partnership. You are already doing so much of this. It meets a genuine need, not a service that they can't, and it meets the genuine need, but they can also connect it to that need. Systemic reflection, we build in reflection at every juncture. As you notice too, I stop, I say, are there any questions right now? Giving opportunities for people to reflect. An accurate assessment of what went on. Service learning it cannot go wrong, because if you've done a service project and it goes awry, you come back, you assess it, you see what went wrong. Well, COVID happened in the middle of our project. Okay, that wasn't our fault. We may be feeling defeated, but guess what? We have other opportunities. How can we work around that? So there's learning in that as well. And civic responsibility. It is part of my responsibility as a citizen of my town to do this. So these are the elements of high quality service. When these are being instituted, we know we're going to have a high quality service learning project. Next slide. So there are 5 steps to service learning, and only one of them is actually doing the project. Look at all the learning that takes place around it. In step 1, in lesson 1, we're going to discover what their talents, skills, and interests are. You are all, I can hear from all of you that you do a lot of service. I'm going to guess that you don't go and do service, give your free time to things that you are not interested in, that you don't like, that you disagree with, or that you have no skills or talents around. So that first step is to find out what their talents, skills are, what their interests are, and start creating a service learning project that speaks to those things. We're going to help them cultivate interview skills. A lot of times they need those interpersonal communication skills, and here's where we do that. They're going to look and identify and select needs in the community, real needs. That means they have to do some research. They have to do some background and see what the actual needs are. Again, collaborating with partners interested in the needs. This is where you call the Lions clubs, you call the youth minister and say, what do you already have that we could connect with? What tools do you have? And it's the start of documenting that service learning project. And always, you will see this in every step, we reflect on the individual process and the group process. Next slide. So there we go. Step 2, planning and preparation. So again, we haven't gone out there yet. This is part of the learning, is what's going on within that group, within the youth. We want to brainstorm potential service learning projects to meet the selected needs. We're looking to see what kinds of projects they can do and what's the reality of it. My little story here is I had a guy one time say, I think we should build a swimming pool for the community. I did not say, well, that's really not going to happen. I let him say it because this is brainstorming. And then we started talking about what might be the barriers to that, decide on a service learning project based on skills, interest, feedback, parameters, and consensus. This case, my example is parameters. We can't do that. We don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources. What was the goal of that swimming pool? And he says, well, a lot of kids don't have any place to go after school. So that's really the issue at hand. What could we do? And from that came a service learning project where they would help kids. They had a little free tutorial place that the other kids younger than them could come in. So again, brainstorming, think pie in the sky, and then bring it to something manageable. We have to let them have that student voice. Develop a detailed plan with committees as much as we possibly can. They can get into groups and start thinking about what are the steps we have to do. And then again, reflection and documentation. Step 3 then. Okay, so we stop here to talk about the different types, things. We're still working on this. So there are 4 types of service learning. So we don't have to do always the same kind. And I think sometimes this really helped me understand the different kinds of service that I can give. I was with a few of my friends last night, and one of them says, I don't know how to get involved. I don't know what to do. So we talk, actually, yeah, it's kind of hard being my friend because then, oh, Tiny Teach, I will let you know. So I said, well, here are 4 different ways that we can get involved. One is direct. Okay? My chef Andres example, he takes all of his food, goes to the border in the Ukraine and gives food to people. That is a direct service. It's face-to-face contact with the participants of the service. Indirect, you're still doing hands-on, but you may not see who that goes to. So that could be anybody who's packing those food boxes, Anyone who's doing behind the scenes, they're still doing hands-on, but it's not directly out there handing the food to the people. Civic action advocacy. This is where we create awareness or we're promoting action on an issue. This could be writing letters to the editor. It could be creating a pamphlet that shows the different facts. Did you know that most people on the streets do not start out drug addicted? Drug addiction comes because they are homeless, not the other way around. I just learned that in my field trip recently with Street Roots, that the #1 causes of homelessness was not drug addiction. That was a stereotype I had in my head. I had to reframe that. Advocacy. You take me, you show me about it, you're promoting action or awareness. And the last one, research, involves in-depth research into an issue of public interest, where we go in, we do all the research behind the scenes, and we try to understand maybe what the root causes. Think about that with our chief Moose when he was here, and he said, we would, in all of our meetings, he would say, and what are the root causes? What are the root causes? Well, that involves research. We have to go back and find out what exactly are the root causes. So these are the 4 types of service learning. You could decide what kind you want to direct the students to do, or you could teach this and say, let's pick one. Let's pick 2 of these. Let's see how we're going to do this. This helped me organize my thoughts. I think I already said this. In what kind of service am I doing each month? And if I can't get to direct and indirect, maybe it is civic action. If I can't get to civic action, maybe an opportunity arises and I can just do direct. Questions or comments about the 4 types of service learning? Like I said, that was my aha, so maybe I'm thinking that might be for some of you. Okay, let's move to the next slide. See, I was predicting there was a question here. Which of these types of service learning experience have you participated in? Can anybody give some examples? I gave a few examples of some that either famous people or I've done. A direct, indirect, civic action, research, maybe something you've involved youth in. A lot of you are educators, youth ministry. Can you give us an example of some of these? Let's shine a spotlight on some good service learning pieces that people have done. Direct therapy. Giving certain therapy to kids who need it. That's a direct service. Yes. Thanks, Miss Amanda. And Kimberly is reminding you that there are sample lessons on page 13 of the handout. Other examples. Indirect, Children's Policy Council. Absolutely. And I think that's also civic action and research. Again, doing that research, being able to advocate civic action protest or community education. Yes, a little bit of both. Yeah, protest, calling attention to an issue, community education, getting the word out to people. Amanda, you're covering all the bases. And Kimberly, we have worked with youth in creating substance prevention flyers to raise awareness on social media during Red Ribbon Week. Does anybody else? I can say Red Ribbon Week is how it comes out. Penny's talking about doing monthly indirect prepping the food pantry for families who will pick up groceries. Yes. It's also, this is going to be a little brag on my part because I had so much fun with it. It's also, again, I want to reiterate, playing to your skills. We have an organization here called Community of Hope, where it's generally women, sometimes it's men, with their children, and we provide services for them, and they have a home to stay in until they're on their feet. So Community of Hope, I've done quite a few things, but I'm a talker. And so I got to MC the annual gala this year, and we actually made more money than we ever have. And it's my skill, it's my being in front of the microphone. So the reason I bring that up is a lot of times people say, oh, but he always does that, she always does that. Yeah, let them do that, because it's a service. It's a service to the community, and it's taking their best skills and putting them to practice in a service context. And Amanda's bringing us home here, educating myself so that I educate the community, parents, and children about trauma and body safety. For me, it's all connected in the field of child advocacy, yes. And it's also not being afraid to say, here's what I need to learn. This is the research I need to have. Anyone else? Great examples, all of these, and bringing it to life. Next slide. So step 3 is the one step where we actually go out and implement this. We know what we know what we are skilled at. We know what we're gonna do. We have a plan of action. We've all bought into it. Now we're gonna put it into practice. We implement the class projects. We are providing a meaningful and needed service. We use all of our previously acquired skills and knowledge, and we contribute to a safe learning environment in which I can pull mine up too. We got that black line that just keeps running through all of our stuff. Contribute to a safe learning environment in which to learn, make mistakes, and adjust the plan. Remember said there's no such thing as this not going well, because when the mistakes are made, we learn and we help kids understand that it's not just success or failure. Those are opposites, and there's so much in between. And learning involves successive approximations, not getting it right the first time, continuing until we get it. Next slide. So step 4, we are going to reflect systematically on learning and group process at the outset, during, and the end of the service learning project. We did reflection at the beginning, we did the project, we reflect again, and at the end, bringing this all home, we will reflect again. So we ask students not just to say, I'm sorry, you're not working with students, you're working with you. We want them to describe the thoughts and feelings. How did you feel when you first walked into that home for the elderly? What were some of your feelings? What were some of the things you were thinking about? And as you went through and you started talking to some of these individuals, how did that change for you? We let them have an opportunity to talk about, gee, at first I was really scared, and it just made me think about my grandma who passed away, all these comments that we hear that they can talk about. And then I started realizing they're just kind of like me, except they're a little bit older. And they start talking about the learning that they had. Being able to articulate those feelings and thoughts will help them bring this alive. And I do have to tell you, we did this as a service project in one school in Mulvane, Kansas. I'm saying that because my colleagues will know who I'm talking about. And we had a couple of high school teachers who said, I don't want to go to that home for the elderly. I really don't like it. I don't think this is great. Why should teachers have to do this? And when he came back, I just remember him saying, I am a changed man. And he said, now I understand why service learning is so important. He said, I had my preconceived notions. I was angry at you, and I took a lot of heat when I was directing them to do this. I said, this was the best thing that ever happened because I learned, and I learned about myself. Assess the effectiveness of the group process, what worked, what can be improved, and gather feedback from the participants and the recipients. How was it when our kids came in? And last but not least, step 5. So did we miss step 5? I have it in mind that that was the next one. So we can go through this first. And so some considerations before start. There we go. So step 5 is demonstration and celebration. So after reflection, that's different than demonstration and celebration. Demonstration and celebration, we gather all the documentation from the beginning to the end of the project. We determine audiences outside the classroom to present learning about the project results. Bringing in the local newspaper, sharing it with other classrooms, having a parent night, any of these things where we can showcase what we have done. Create and present a class presentation to demonstrate individual and collective learning, and celebrate the results of the project with all of the recipients. So lots of ways to demonstrate and celebrate what they have done. Now, the last slide. So some things to consider, and this is before you even start. How much time do you, especially if we are working with volunteers, be honest with yourself, how much time you're willing to give this? How much investment are you willing to make? And that could be time, it could be expenses, it could be emotional energy, all of those things. What is your ability to do this in a meaningful way? Projects or placements, the difference is a project is something we would all work on together, like the garbage can piece that you saw in our video. Placement would be that they are going to a place, you've got 8 youth, and you are placing them in different places. One is going with the Lions clubs and they're gonna help organize a dinner. Another person is going and working with little kids, however they would be placed. One is going to Red Cross, another one is going to Salvation Army, placing them in a place, or is it a group project? Again, depending on how you are doing this in your project, in your service learning project, that might help you decide that. Is this something that they can only do on school grounds or in the community, or is it something they would do that would affect the world? What are the guidelines and policies? Again, you have a legal system that is now involved. What are the guidelines? What are the policies? What are things that are restricted? They should know that before we ask them to think about these things. So when I hear, let's build a swimming pool, I can say, already told you what some of the restrictions are. Let's talk about those. Is this going to be a short-term or a long-term service learning experience? My personal bias, a short thing done well at the starting gate will make them buy into this, and you could look at long-term things a little bit later. Do you want some success early on? And last, decide, is it direct, indirect, civic action, or research? What kinds of things would you like to do? So just some considerations before starting a service learning experience.
Brenda, can I add something to what you said?
Sure, please do.
I think what I've taught people, especially because I go and train in Milwaukee every year, is that the type of service can be combined. You can actually do indirect and direct service in the same project. You're obviously going to do research in the project. So some of these do not have to exist in silos. You can know that the types of service are integrated in some cases.
That's a wonderful point, Penny. Let's go back to the food service. There are kids who are out there giving the food to the people. You have other kids in this same project who are preparing the food behind the scenes. You have other kids who are creating a pamphlet on what food scarcity is and why. It's not food scarcity, there's another term for this, but why that's happening. And they could do research on creating sustainable gardens. So you could have 4 different students working on the same issue, doing direct, indirect, civic action, or research. Somebody help me with food insecurity. I got it. Thanks for helping me. Yeah, food insecurity. Thank you. Yeah, understanding and what food insecurity is. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Penny, are we still on for a break, and how long?
Yes, we are getting ready to take a break, folks. We're going to give you a 5-minute break. So go, and I'm actually going to stop sharing so I can see you guys. So go. I don't know. You're in Alabama? Is everybody in Alabama besides us? Because if you're in Alabama, you're on Central Time. So I have 10:25. I'd like for you guys to come back at 10:30. So wherever you are, just be back at either 10:30, 11:30, or 9:30, but just on the 30. Okay.
8:30 in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back in 5. Hi, everybody. Because you don't have your cameras on, I don't know if you're back. So I'm just gonna assume that you all are here and hope that you had a good opportunity to stretch your legs and just move around for a minute. I know it just, it helps me to get back in gear. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to go into a breakout session. And this bar, I've been working on getting rid of this bar. But we're going to put you all in groups and give you a chance to talk to each other about what you've just learned and experienced. So we talked about social and emotional learning. We reintroduced that definition. Frances took us through the 5 stages of service learning, and she walked us through some really important things to think about. And so part of your role as facilitators is you're facilitating 2 things. You're facilitating the Lions Quest lessons that will prepare the youth for their service project, but you're also facilitating the service learning experience itself. And so we want to give you guys a chance to speak with each other. So we're going to put you into some breakout rooms, and we want you to discuss these 2 questions. We're not sure if you had the opportunity to download the handout packet and have it saved somewhere on your computer that you can open up when you get into your breakout room. So I encourage you to do what I would do. I would take out my cell phone and I would take a picture of this slide so that I knew what we wanted to talk about, or jot down the question and the questions. And when we put you in the breakout room, you'll know what you need to discuss. The other thing we do in Lions Quest, and we will teach you about doing this when you're facilitating the lessons, is whenever we put people in a group, we always give them responsibilities and something to do. So what we need you to do is to assign a timekeeper. You have 8 minutes for your discussion, and then we want you to assign someone who will be the recorder/reporter. The recorder's role is to write down your responses and to capture what the group said on something, and then also to report that back. So you will share that out when you come back to the larger group. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to ask you if you could give me a thumbs up. Just use your reactions to give me a thumbs up. Oh. Okay. If you don't need all the entire 5 minutes, you can come back. And a little bit earlier, we can take it down to 5 minutes. But what we want you to do, thanks for giving me the thumbs up if you understand that we're going to talk about those 2 questions. We're going to talk about what you just learned about service learning, those 5 steps. And when you start working with your young people and you're thinking about what do I need to consider based on the young people I will be working with, what are some important considerations that I need to take in place? So remember, Frances talked about, you need to think about how much time you have to invest in this, taking them and preparing them for a service learning project and taking them through. You need to think about if they decide to visit a homeless shelter or go to the Goodwill and put the labels on the clothes and get them ready to sell to people, what the guidelines and policies and procedures are of those organizations. How many young people will you involve? Will you put them in a project or will you put them in a placement? So think about what you need to consider. What's really important to make this event successful for me and for my young people. So we want you to discuss things you need to take into consideration and just your new understanding of those 5 steps of service learning. I got mostly everybody raising their hand to say, we know what we need to do, just put us in our group. So I'm going to create those breakout rooms right now. Okay, we're gonna create, let's do 4. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this again. I changed my mind about something. Add a room. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna open up the rooms now.
much do that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We wanted to give you guys a chance to just take 1 minute to report out what you learned in your session, what you covered in your sessions. So can we get the recorder from each group to jump in and share? Anyone can decide they want to go first. Just unmute yourself and share your responses to the
Hi, Penny, this is Renee.
Hi, Renee.
So I was with Austin, Brian, and Chris, and we had a really good discussion. The first question about, what did you notice about the 5 stages of service learning? So I'm going to quote Austin, who I'm not sure who he quoted, but I've heard this before. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And so that became the basis of our conversation, which I thank Austin for that. I thought that was really good. So we really focused on the stage 1 investigation and really establishing a baseline so everyone in the group could talk.
Yeah.
I know Chris started talking about asking open-ended questions to allow people to come in. And then we talked about the kids are so used to fast food, fast service, fast Wi-Fi, that when you slow down and you want to just have a conversation with them, they're confused. And so it takes a minute for them to understand that you're trying to connect with them. Brian brought in that, this really is a problem solving thing. The stages are all how they solve each problem. Let's see. And of course, all of them are interconnected. So you start with trying to figure out who they are and then what can they do? What do they want to do? So you're basically allowing them to run through the stages. So that was our first question. And then I'll go faster on the second one. The second one, we talked about some considerations. I think that the key to our conversation there was a lot of the kids, they are so afraid to fail. They've been failing a lot in their lives. A lot of them are in these situations because of failure of family, friends, themselves. And so we want them to understand that we're all going to fail. That's just life. And we will try to give them a safe place to fail and give them opportunities to, succeed as well. And then give them a space to learn from their failures. And so, and then I think Chris also said, the important part there is to consider that each person needs to talk and to be honest and that know that they're valuable. And so don't allow other people to interrupt when one person's speaking because you've basically, not honored that person by letting them know that their words are valuable. So very important to have allow them all to have their say. So that was my group and I just thought it was great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go. So I was in with Sarita and Judge Terry, and we basically just discussed like how, of course, these kids are going to be the ones that we work with every day. And so we know that there's going to be so many different types of kids and personalities and willingness to be there and participate. And so we just know that it's going to be, across the board. We're going to have some that are going to be wanting to engage too much, inappropriate, probably, and some that are only going to be there because they have to be. They don't care about it. They're not, going to want to participate at all. And so just knowing that we're going to have this different, range, just to be able to maybe tone down those one type and bring out, some things, some positive things from the ones who, have the poor attitude, and hopefully it'll be, really, really life-changing for them, so they can maybe see that they're not alone. There's a lot of kids and even adults, because I'm sure some of these adults are going to share their personal experiences, and I think it's going to really help them to see that it's okay that they've went through whatever, or that they're going through whatever, or they're different in this way, because they're not alone. And I think it's going to really help a lot of our kids.
I agree with you 100%. It will help a lot of kids to see that they're not alone. That community building and connection making and relationship building that happens throughout 16 weeks that you will work with them will give them a chance to develop a sense of trust and safety and connection to each other, where they will begin to experience these. And also, as facilitators, one of the things that you guys are probably already so gifted in being able to do is to help young people see that they're valued and recognized, and that they all have something to contribute. And that's one of the things that we appreciate about what service learning does. Service learning starts from a place of assets with young people, and understanding that all young people have something to contribute. All young people have some valuable skills to lend. Service learning starts with assets and not deficit. So I appreciate your comment. Were there any other groups that needed to share? I think it might have just been 2 other groups. Okay, well.
I just wanted to say, Jerome, I love that you go back and just kind of summarize and give some nice compliments to each of the groups. So if you haven't read those, Jerome has been really good at that. Jerome says, Renee, your group makes great points. Together we can make a difference. Modeling success is important. Thank you. Thank you, Jerome, for that. And then the other one, Natasha, your group's awareness of individuality is important. Facilitators being aware of difference is important as we draw out some conversation and awareness. Great helping us. It is important to praise youth as they contribute. Well, Jerome, you're just living this. That's what I see. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, we are going to take you straight now so that you can see a Lions Quest lesson. Again, in your handout packet, your guidebook, if you had a chance to download it, you have the first 4 lessons in the service learning manual. But I'm going to walk you through one of the second lesson where they get to interview each other, so that you can see what a Lions Quest lesson looks like. Almost immediately, early next week, you will receive your license for your Lions Quest curriculum, and you can walk through it and get familiar with it. You can also schedule a time to meet with me directly for a one-on-one consultation for more information. But right now, let me walk you through what your Lions Quest lessons look like. They all look the same. So when you open that service learning manual, you will see on the first page of your lesson, you will know how to plan and prepare for what you need to do with your young people. You will notice in the planning column First thing you see is the SEL skills and competencies that Francis took us through this morning to get us familiar with what is SEL and what are the competencies and the skills that the young people will use. That's right there for you. The next thing you'll see is the material. 98% of all the materials that you need are right in your lesson, so you don't have to go anywhere else to look for them. You will have projectables embedded in your lesson. You will have manual lessons that you can print out. You'll get a PowerPoint slide that you can teach the lesson from. Essentially, everything that you need is there. So you may need art paper, or a student may need a sheet of paper or a pen and a pencil. But the majority of the time, 99% of what you need comes with your subscription. Your subscription is good for 60 months. And the other thing that you see in the planning column is how you organize their students as they're learning. We are really big into student engagement and high interaction. So it'll tell you whether your students will just be chatting as a whole class and you'll be giving every child an opportunity to speak, or whether they'll be working in a small group, or whether they'll be partnering with each other. And I think that's some valuable information for your planning, to know how will my students be organized throughout the time that I'm teaching the lesson. And of course, you'll know what the service learning lesson objectives are. What are we trying to achieve today? The Common Core connection doesn't really relate to you because you're not teaching in a school setting, and the skills progression doesn't necessarily connect either, because you're teaching them a core set of 16 lessons that have already been identified in the service learning manual. That is what the first page of your lesson looks like. On the second page, you will see the phases that you go through to teach the lesson, which Francis is going to introduce to you in a minute when I get finished sharing with you what's on the pages. But each lesson is 3 pages long. Each lesson also has a family connection. So if you have the opportunity and the privilege to work with parents, you have a family connection that you can send home with the parents, or when you get the parents together at the end to celebrate the project that the young people did, you can give them these handouts that are available for them. But there are ways for you to also get the family involved. And then finally, on the last page of the lesson, and throughout the lesson, you see the student journal resources. So student journal resources are embedded in the lesson plan. You don't have to buy a separate student journal. Everything that you need, as I said, is in the lesson. You hover over the student resource and it pops up for you. And you can print it out, you can download it and save it on your computer. All of those things are available for you. But I want to point out this section at the bottom called Building Skills Beyond the Lesson. Those are 4 short, fun activities that students respond to really well. Teachers say students love. They're creating things, they're working in small groups. And if you have extra time during the time that you're meeting with your students, this may be something that you want to pull out and do. They reinforce the social and emotional skills that young people are learning. But let me back up. And I'm going to have Francis walk you through our pedagogy, how we teach.
Okay, and we're going to do this kind of fast because we're almost out of time. So there are 4 phases to each lesson: discovering, connecting, practicing, and applying. The first phase, which I think has been lost in the art of teaching, and we're reviving it, is finding out what students already know or have experienced about a topic. There's nothing more frustrating to a youth than to sit and be taught something that they already know. So that first phase is when we're going to find out how much they already know about this, which is going to help us adapt in our connecting. Connecting is linking the students' current knowledge to the new skills. This is where we're probably going to talk the most, because this is information they don't know. We're going to teach it to them, but we're going to adapt it. So in your case, maybe these kids, the subject you're teaching, they've learned that. They've had some street smarts about it. They've got it. You may want to advance that connecting piece, go a little bit faster, etc. On the other hand, with the population you're working with, maybe this is a skill they've never heard of. So now in discovering, you find out we need to hover over this a little bit longer. That discovering gives you so much information as to what you do in connecting. Remember that I want to link this back to what we did at the beginning. We took time to listen to every single person in here. In a lot of ways, what the facilitator is doing is listening to hear how excited people are, what they already know. A couple of you mentioned ACEs. We don't need to go back and teach that because in the discovery, which was part of that introduction, we're listening to hear where the students are, where the youth are. The third phase is guided practice. That means that once they have heard the new skill, they've been introduced in connecting, practicing is hands-on where they get to practice the skill. And we are right there, not hovering over them, but we are guides on the side looking to see where they need a little bit of a reteach, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of just reorienting towards that skill. So often this is done in groups. They are practicing the new skill. The last phase is generally homework. We don't teach it directly, but they take their new skill and they take it out and they apply it in other situations. Every lesson has these 4 phases. Again, discovering, finding out what they already know, connecting that to the new information, letting them practice the new skill, and applying it beyond the room in which they are learning it. Yeah, go ahead, Penny. You need to unmute. Sorry, Penny.
Francis and I are going to tag team on this. With everything we do, we want to just bring some closure, and we want to give you guys an opportunity. If you have any questions, if you're concerned about what your next steps are, let us know. We want to let you know that we have a follow-up free session for you on establishing and maintaining a relationship-centered learning community. Every moment that you spend with a child makes all the difference in the world. And we want to support what you are doing by giving you some key strategies you can use. And so Francis and I want you to know that we're available for either one-on-one consultations or coming back with you at your convenience and doing a session on establishing and just sustaining your relationship-centered learning community. And as Kim said, we're not done with you. We're going to continue to work with you and continue to support you throughout that 16 weeks. And Kim will be giving you some next steps in terms of getting your curriculum. Kim, did you want to share with them about how they'll get their curriculum license?
I will go ahead and speak with Director Thompson about that. So okay. I want to make sure that I give you guys all the time you need. Thanks.
Okay. Francis, you want to do the closing for us?
Well, I want to honor your time, and I understand that all of our time is valuable. Remember, we said time is money. So we won't go around and do this, but I just thought, since it's lunchtime, we're going to use a metaphor and just what I learned here today makes me think of, and you can just put it in the chat, dessert, because it's sweet to keep going, or it makes me think of a enchilada because it's got all that good stuff inside and spicy stuff on the outside. So we'll just take a couple of metaphors of how you're feeling right now and attach it to a food. And in the chat, raise your hand. We'll take 2 or 3, just again, respecting your time. So come up with something clever or not so clever. And Kimberly's got the link to the resources. Have fun with this one. Let's end it on a positive food note before you go to lunch.
Yeah. Got a taco salad and some lasagna, because layers make things all work together for a good meal. Thank you, Tracy.
Yay. And Judge, you're next. I saw you ready.
Well, say I'm not going to be that creative. I'm going to let them go ahead. But thank you, everyone who participated, and thank you to Lions Quest and Jerome. What we need to realize is as I've said, this is a world-class curriculum. If we would not be able to pay for this. My county, we are a rural county. We probably, and we're not here to talk dollars and cents, but I just want you ladies to know, I know how much this costs, and I know what a benefit it's going to be to us. So thank you so much for providing this for us. And again, thank you everybody who took time out of your day to do this training. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to make sure that Sarita gets noticed here. Training is like a great burger. You take a bite and can't help but take another. You guys are planning my lunch for me. I can see that. Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, everybody. And we'll let PID Thompson have the last word and close out the meeting for you. But thanks so much for your time. And we appreciate what you do, and we support you in what you do, and just continue to be encouraged.
Thank you so very much, Penny and Francis, for your time, and Kim for helping us. Judge, thank you for allowing Lions Clubs International Foundation to invest in our community and bring this program with a 5-year license so that we can impact the lives of our at-risk youth. Together, the group here in Lawrence County is going to make a difference, and I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you.